Well, this upcoming Thursday, USDA will release its prospective plantings report, giving us really the first look at what farmers are intending to plant in 2024. However, weather and the market environment is much different than a year ago. And this weekend, Michelle Rook looks at how that might have influenced farmers' decisions.
At the Ag Outlook Forum in February, USDA projected soybeans would be up nearly 4 million acres from 2023 at the expense of nearly every other crop, but in particular corn. And private estimates are showing similar shifts, but to a lesser degree. And the farmers I talked to are saying much the same. Many planting decisions were already made last fall as cooperative weather allowed input applications, and many farmers chose to keep normal crop rotations.
We're usually half and half soybeans, half corn, and we'll remain the same. And I think most people in our area will probably do the same.
That's true even in fringe areas.
Most of the guys I talk to are gonna stay with their rotation to keep things so that so they're not off balance in years to come. There might be some beans or corn that gets switched over to bean acres, but I don't think it's going to be a massive switch. I think it'll be minimal.
However, with their lower cost of production, market analysts are expecting more soybeans.
Unfortunately, the bank and access to capital and credit may have that part of that decision too. Obviously, beans are a less capital intensive crop to plant than corn. Interest rates are as high as they've been in 40 years, and so that might be part of the decision as well.
Ag Market is seeing this trend with a 2.5 million acre increase in soybeans to 86.1 million and a 3.1 million acre decrease in corn at 91.5. This narrows the acreage gap between planted acres for corn and beans compared to 2023.
11 million acres difference last year, 94 and change down to 83 and change. I've got to think, given the fact that corn, just look at cash prices, for instance, that comes from the USDA down almost $1.80 year on year, whereas soybeans is about $1.60. Relatively speaking, obviously soybean prices have performed better than corn.
In Allendale's survey, farmers are indicating a smaller shift than USDA predicted, planting over 2.2 million more acres of soybeans, but only 1.2 million acres less corn. The corn-soybean ratio favors soybeans at over 2.5 to 1. So what's throttling back the shift?
You're looking at most cash corn break-evens roughly 5 to 5.20 or so, and soybeans 12 to 12.20 or so per bushel. So the corn discussion is a question of how much do we want to lose at these current bids right now for new crop. As it stands right now, the survey suggested, and farmers are quite consistent with this, they suggested that we're going to stay with standard rotation for now.
The caveat is the weather, which could entice a few more acres of corn this spring, especially with ideas farmers can bushel up.
If we have an earlier spring, farmers still like to plant corn. They like to get that crop in early.
One big loser in 2024 is wheat, with less fall plantings and projections of 2 to 3.5 million less total acres due to lower prices.
I would expect if the prices stay where they're at, we're probably going to see a small decline in our wheat acreage, but unfortunately that has been the trend over the last 10 years.
Bucking the trend is cotton. After consecutive years of losses due to drought, it may have attracted a few acres on a winter rally.
Cotton's going to take some corn and some soybean acres in the south. I do still think we'll get the higher acreage, but not quite as much as what maybe some people think, because December has been slower to show it.
In sorghum, plantings look flat, with increases in parts of the Texas offset farther north.
A lot of wheat that's out there, but as always, there's a lot of questions on what happens on some of those wheat acres, and so we'll see, but optimistic that at the least we're flat.
However, Mother Nature will dictate the final mix. I'm Michelle Rook for U.S. Farm Report.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, signs of spring and signs of hope after the largest wildfire in Texas history ravaged the Panhandle. From the Farm is next.